Welcome back to the Wormhole Extremists. I'm David Reed, along with Evie
Hello.
and Nicole.
Hello.
We are, oh,
We're
come
all
on. We're watching Heroes Part 2.
We all
all
just sound
sounding
so
so
defeated.
somber.
I know.
It's a good episode,
So
guys.
Yeah,
it is a very good episode. I believe that this part two is the 150th episode of Stargate
I think so,
SG1
right?
to
Yeah.
air. Yeah, and as we mentioned in the previous episode, this wasn't supposed to be a two-parter, but Robert C., I think he said to you, David, on Dial the Gate, that the first cut ran about 50-ish, 58-ish minutes
Yeah, it was
long.
nearly an
Like
hour.
a typical cut is usually about 52 minutes, and then they whittle it down to about 42. So he said that the initial 48 minutes was like too good to cut, basically. So he lent into what Brad Wright and Jonathan Glassner had been talking about, which was taking advantage of good opportunities, and that's when they like spun it out and expanded it.
Yeah, this is the first
So,
time they do that. In season 8, they do that with Threads, where it fits right in the middle, but
yes, of course they
Sci-Fi
do.
allows
Love
for an
Threads.
extended episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you got to get like you got to consult the network. You have to reorganize the director's schedules. Like there's all this stuff to do. You got to come up with new material,
Hmm.
insert scenes, and I think Robert said that he wanted to insert scenes rather than just add to the ending.
Emergency.
Think big.
I really love his speech coming up where he's like,
This is
there
an
are
excellent
people.
speech that we'll see
Yeah.
Really
momentarily.
is.
Yeah,
Saul was
I want to
very
see it.
passionate about it when he came on the
It's
channel.
it's
He really
such
was.
a honestly, I get goosebumps every time I watch it of him just screaming, I want to see it. I want to like this is what
Yeah.
we should be seeing, and it's just like,
That's
wow,
it.
I just can't.
You can't ignore his perspective. But at the same
No.
time, we know the people who are going through the situation are suffering, and we want them to be protected because they're family to us. But that doesn't make him wrong.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yes.
thing that I love about sci-fi. It's not always right versus wrong. It's often right versus right. And which one do you pick?
This is what I
Mm-hmm.
really miss about books that I'm reading, because so many books that I read lack that nuance now. I don't know what the hell's happened, but everything's
Oh,
so black and white. And it's like, no, I like, when Stargate gets messy. I like when I don't know which right is right, because it's all, they're all
very
good
few.
people.
Yeah, very few things are so clear cut that there is
Yeah.
usually a gray area.
People are much
Yeah.
more fatalist now.
Mm,
There's all kind of
Yeah.
reasons for that. Um,
It's really sad.
I think there's a hopelessness and a malaise, and I think that's why a
hmm
lot of people are
Yeah,
retreating into
that's well
themselves.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, let's watch Heroes Part 2.
Yeah. It's
God.
the nuance is great. I'm really excited. This is going to be fantastic.
As an editor, I love this scene. I'm so there with them in that cutting room
Yeah,
putting
The
this
cut
thing
pretty
together.
professional,
He's
him in the
completely
suit.
right. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been obviously cutting the shorts for Wormhole Extreme
Yep.
on YouTube and just like
You get it.
looking at some of this, I totally get it.
Just the two,
So
Dale and Emmett, just going back and forth in terms of editing this scene together is just great.
yes. Well, like Bregman is sort of kind of carefully editing out the moments where he's backed Sam into a corner. Like
Yeah.
he's genuinely trying to
Yeah.
present these people fairly and not create antagonistic television.
Yep.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's also proving the point of like you can edit things to like, make it what you want it to be.
Oh yeah, of
So
course.
like it's taking things and putting them together in order to make it work. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like the number of times that like I like watching a little bit of reality TV.
yeah,
But
the edits. Yeah.
sometimes, like My Kitchen Rules or like MasterChef or whatever, the number of times that people have come out that have been on the show and have said they've deliberately tweaked what I've said to make me
Yeah.
come across as an antagonist
And you can
Yeah.
tell in a lot
is
of
like
the editing
staggering.
how
Yeah,
they've pulled pieces around from other spots, and it's like, okay, that reaction is not from that moment.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
especially when
I'm gonna
like part one and part two of an episode, they come back and the second one is like
Yeah.
edited completely differently. It's like, okay, well, which one is real? Of the
Exactly.
overlapping element from both of the episodes.
So I like to kind of notice the contrast between how we see Bregman throughout the episode versus how he appears in these documentary segments.
He looks so
Like
serious.
apparently Well, he's wearing a suit. So
Yeah.
Andy Makita deliberately had Saul looking a little bit more scruffy and surrounded by clutter during the actual interviews, but in the finished documentary footage, he's polished in a
He's
suit
gone off
and
and got,
tie.
yeah, he's gotten B-roll of
And
himself asking those questions to insert
Yeah.
himself in. It's
exactly,
very
yeah.
common.
Yeah.
It's a documentary filmmaking trick. You know,
Yeah.
he went back and filmed his own segments again,
Yeah.
looking more professional.
I love his line,
oh,
nobody
yeah.
cares that nobody cares. It's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I've been confronted with a bunch of nothing on camera, and it's like, there's nothing
yeah.
that I can do with this. I've just never, no one's ever cut from me to an Alkesh bomber. I'm just saying.
So I'm gonna butcher this name, I think. I'm not sure. So Daniel Kulksar said, "My Kleenex box is ready."
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't bring one, so
Aw.
silly me.
I have a box of tissues right within arm's reach.
But I mean, Bregman's not wrong. It's the documentary right now is just a lot of air.
Yeah.
They're not
Yes.
getting to
Yeah.
anything because they're not they're not giving him any solid answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to get to the heart, and he's just sort of
There is no heart right now. He's
tapping
not
at the
filmed
sur-
anything.
Yeah, that's his
yeah.
point, isn't it? In a minute, he's like, "We just got a bunch of people yakking. No one cares about
Yak,
that."
yak, yak. Where's
Talking
Shepard
heads.
golfing on the moon?
Yeah. I absolutely love how they've edited this scene together with the next scene. Yeah, it's so fantastic. He's just like, it's boring, and then it cuts to the chaotic battle
Explosions.
scene.
I would
Yeah.
love to riff with him on camera, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay, where's my script? I've lost myself. I don't know how he does it. He can just go back. So playing golf. This is one of the most amazing sequences in the
transition.
series
Yes.
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
That's why it's
is.
in
The
the intro.
entire show. Yeah.
Whenever people like try to criticize Stargate, because a lot of people just go, "Oh, isn't it just 90s cringy sci-fi?"
Watch this
I
shot.
point to this
No.
episode. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
not
I
a
point to
cheap
this.
shot. Wow. I
No.
just gave myself goosebumps watching it.
Yeah.
So if you keep your eye on
Watching my
Adam
heroes together is great.
Baldwin, in
Yeah.
a second he leans back too far and he moves the entire boulder.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah. I remember noticing that when I was younger. I just love seeing my worlds collide, and anytime I see crossovers between my favorite shows where the actors appear, I'm always just so giddy. So seeing RDA and Adam together is awesome.
It'll move in just a second. Yeah, see, it shifts like right back, and yeah, there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're oh man, they're like 5 pounds.
I love that.
Okay, and also in a second, you catch Jack's flashlight falling off the P90 during the firefight, and then the next scene, when he gets hit, it's magically back on his weapon.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
It took me for a while to realize that beat from Janet, that's happening at the same time as this. So Janet gets hit.
Saw it fall off. Yep.
Janet goes down about now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does.
So-
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's fallen off already. If you
Oh,
didn't.
it
notice.
has. Okay.
Yeah.
Tim in the chat says he
Ooh.
complains
Back on.
about Shepard playing golf on the moon and said, "Does that have any relationship to Atlantis?" I don't think it does.
So Shepard was named after Al Shepard,
Ah, yes.
just like Colonel
Okay.
Young was. They're all astronauts. So
Yeah.
go watch the right stuff. That's a SG1's predecessor, the space program.
So the way that they make it seem like it's RDA, and also the interesting thing is that because
know.
RDA has been taking a step back, this wouldn't have been if we didn't already know this. We wouldn't have
Yes.
put it past them considering killing
Yeah.
Jack.
Yes,
I wouldn't have
I
been
thought the
surprised.
whole way through because I hadn't done too much research into the plot.
Oh, you
when I
didn't
was
know who
watching
dies.
this. No,
Yeah.
and I knew that he had stepped back. That's all I knew, and I just thought they'd killed him off, and I was
Panic.
just absolutely devastated. Yeah,
What's frustrating is it's
so-
almost like less of a devastation knowing it's Janet instead of Jack, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I
The
sold
setup
those
is actually
BLUs.
quite brilliant.
Mm.
They stand
So,
for Blinky Light Units.
Blinky light units. So Walter made a Space Invaders joke, which is actually a playful
Yeah.
jab at some behind the scenes feedback. So apparently the Air Force had given the show a note that their personnel wouldn't be playing video games while on duty, and the writers, decided that they'll
Let's
slip that
plug it
little
in.
joke
That's funny.
Yeah.
Really, you need to tell us that you wouldn't be playing Space Invaders. Yeah.
This is so cheeky of him, but I love it. It's just like he's just
Yeah,
so
and you
desperate
can't
to get
tell
something.
who's on that gurney, you know, like you're just like really trying to figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Nope. No, thank you,
Oh
sir.
yeah, I didn't realize. Oh.
Here we go. Oh, it's not
Really
that scene.
excited.
That's right, because
No,
Carter
it's
passes
coming
by.
up right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So I
Great
think
acting.
when you spoke to Saul David, he noted that Bregman pushes Carter, who's usually so controlled, completely over the edge, and it's one of Amanda's most powerful moments in the series.
Haven't seen her like that since like
Mm.
Cassandra when she was in
Yep.
the elevator.
It's like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah. So this is obviously the speech.
Yeah. I don't
So
know how much Saul had to do with this, but I think it was a fair bit.
yeah, that was my understanding too. So Saul told you that if they hadn't expanded this episode, this journalism speech might have hit the cutting room floor
Yeah.
along with, you know, other important moments. And he called it a brave, creative decision that was right on the money.
Yeah.
And I think he even said that this speech has been quoted a number of times on social media, especially during discussions about fake news and media complicity. So
Mhm.
he was gratified that it still resonates with audience today.
It's also quite sad that it's still a problem today.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
know. And
Oh, so
for a
good.
bit of an alternate take from Reddit, one viewer saw this scene very differently. They argued that Bregman remains self-serving and manipulative throughout this
Whoa.
episode, and
No.
this praised speech about freedom of the press is
No.
just him justifying his intrusive behavior after cornering, you know, Carter, who was quite upset.
It's a combination.
That's an interesting argument.
It's a
Yeah.
combination. I see what they mean,
Yeah.
but I think
I've been
that
picked. The
it's-
president has picked me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not entirely selfish. There's a balance of like, I need to get this information because I've been chosen, but also, you know, these people we deserve to know, and they deserve to be, you know, talked about.
If that was his take, that would have been revealed in the editing when he was working with Dale. But that's
Yeah, I
not
think
that's
that's
not
the
what
point.
it was.
Yeah.
He's concerned about, you know, them not coming. He's not worried about him.
Yeah.
He's oh, here we go.
It's not O'Neill.
Also, Wickenhouse just he said something that was a bit confusing. So he said that the SG teams that were sent were SG1, 5, and 7 plus Fraser's medical team, but there was no mention of number 5.
I still can't believe that this what do they call him, a weasel of a man ends up being the leader of Atlantis at some point.
Richard
Still blows my
Woolsey,
mind.
who was
To
only
this day.
introduced because an episode ran long. Robert Picardo mops the floor with this role. He did this in
Yes, he
one
does.
day. He had no time, and a ton of
Absolutely,
dialogue
just
that he's about to go
amazing.
through was all done. All of the scenes in his interview room were all done in one day. I don't necessarily know about this, but he just inhaled the script, and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it all came out beautifully.
When I met him,
Yes.
I said to him, I was like, oh, I really disliked your character at first, and then I got older and I appreciated how fantastic you were, and I really liked you in Atlantis, and I was like,
Well, we know later on that he's a real straight arrow. You
Yeah,
know,
he is,
we think he
yeah.
may be one of Kinsey's goons, and
Well,
he's
he
not.
sounds
Yeah.
corrupt.
Correct.
Because, you know, Sam gets that information about him, and it
Yeah.
sounds like he was fired from a job because he was corrupt. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, well, of course he's working with Kinsey. He's
Yeah.
corrupt. But, you
Yeah.
know, then you find out the truth.
Yeah, he's
But
probably
yeah,
fired because he exposed something that someone didn't want exposed, and they canned him over there. I'll bet.
yeah, yeah.
So, I believe that Robert had a date that he needed to attend in the UK, and this was the day before he flew
Yeah.
out. So pretty crazy stuff. But I think that the story wouldn't have been complete without this extra narrative.
But yeah, a bit of seediness.
Yeah. Plus, you've also got like the kind of the parallel stories about two different men investigating the SGC from different angles
Yep.
with different agendas.
Yeah.
Inauguration really is kind of like a
Yeah.
capstone to this in
Yeah.
terms of Woolsey's arc, because we see his agenda fulfilled there. Like this is what he was after. He just wants the truth. You know, he thinks that oversight is important, and he's not wrong.
No.
But it's a lot more complicated than just
It kind of reminds me of the
oversight.
Captain America versus
Yep.
Iron Man Civil War situation.
It is in many ways that argument.
Yeah. I'm Team Iron Man on that, to be honest. There's a balance to be had, but I was leaning more towards Iron Man in that case. So in this case, I'd be more Team Woolsey, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd be close to Janet. She saved all your lives at some point. You know, like Janet means a lot.
But it sounds like he could be talking about Jack.
Yeah.
Dawn and Amanda are amazing there.
Yeah, they are.
I think Dawn's next to, Chain Reaction, that even surpassing that, this may be his finest hour in this episode.
Also, I think I missed a little bit. So Carter mentioned Woolsey's bachelor's degree, didn't she?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah, when she was talking about paperwork.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, she mentioned he had an LLB from Harvard, which is actually impossible because an LLB, which is a Bachelor of Law, is an undergraduate degree, but Harvard only offers postgraduate law degrees.
Maybe.
So there, Robert Cooper.
I don't want to one-up Robert Cooper. Oh my God.
That's funny.
Robert Picardo, I think, told you, David, that he was initially painted as a, quote, complete douchebag.
It's true.
But Joe Malozzi and Paul Mully saw potential in him, and each return of his character would add like an extra small redeeming quality until he eventually became the Atlantis commander.
Here we go with those sneaky edits. Yeah.
Yes. So this complete rotating shot actually required perfect timing. So each cast member had to slip in and out of the chairs while Robert maintained eye contact with an empty seat. So one blunder would have literally ruined the entire take. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Rude. Just make human decisions the best you can do. But you know what? I get it.
God, he's good in this.
He really is. I remember thinking that he was just like another Kinsey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He just comes in so slimy. You're just like, he's one of those. It's my favorite thing about Stargate is that because it's so long, you're able to bring in these characters that are absolute arse hats and you hate them. And then years down the line, they're actually really great and they have so much depth and so many layers that it's really fun peeling them all back. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think he has one of the best character arcs in terms of
he becomes the leader of Atlantis. That's crazy.
Him, Mayborn becomes king, but him, Tom Macbeth. There are 2 or 3 where it's like that is a great character arc. Yeah.
I mean, if you compare the kingdom to like the size of Atlantis, I think Woolsey has Harry beat. Technically, so
don't forget the wives.
Have as many wives.
Yeah, it's true. But Woolsey has a flying city. I mean,
he does.
Let's go.
True.
Not eligible for court-martial. Yeah. He can imprison him. No one even knows it exists.
Well, they've already threatened to do that before, haven't they? At the start of the series.
He picks up the microphone. This is great.
That was like
I heard all this before. Bye. It did. They're all just done, and also they've just lost their friend, so they're extra done. They're just like can't be asked for.
Well, they've been doing the documentary.
Yeah.
And then Janet dies, and this inquiry begins, and it's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm out.
I'd call in sick. I'd go take a nap. I'd be like, I'll be back in like 3 to 5 business days.
Yeah, airmen would be on your front door saying, "Get in here."
Yeah, exactly.
Take your temperature. Nope, you're fine. This is a great scene.
Yeah.
It really is.
So this is
honestly.
not a real story, but it is reminiscent of a
Correct.
couple of real events.
Yes, 100%.
There's blood on the camera.
It's
I
why it
forgot.
hits so hard.
So there's a continuity sort of error. I double checked it because I wasn't sure if it was real, but Wells is wearing an SG-18 patch when he's supposed to be SG-13. You can see it quickly, but then Daniel moves his hand and covers it up.
Wow.
Like it looks like he's
Nice.
obviously covering it up. I had to pause it, but I took a screenshot.
The other thing that I don't buy about this is she says, I'm Dr. Janet Fraser. She'd be like, it's Dr. Fraser, Simon. You know?
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
maybe they
she
haven't
just
seen each
threw
other
in
very
the
much.
yeah, or she
She's
threw
the
in the first
lead.
name because it makes her more personable or something.
Yeah, maybe he's saying the whole thing so that he can call her Janet if he needs to. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like everyone would have known who she was.
You're right.
Well, man, Daniel just introduced himself and everyone knows who he
This
is.
is
I feel
true,
like he was
but-
maybe a new employee. I feel like he was relatively new around here.
Okay, that's a
Newish,
fair
yeah.
point. Maybe he is really new.
He took on this new job because his wife is pregnant, needs extra money, wants that kid to go to a good school, nice new house. And then this
Well,
is
if he's
happening.
here, he's been in the Air Force, for a little while at this point. This wouldn't have been his first commission.
No. But this is quite the upgrade, like you got to be earning a bit better
Yeah.
if you're going out here.
Oh, the way that they've stitched this episode together is so brilliant. He doesn't know, he's assuming.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he saw a pee-pee, but he didn't.
I wouldn't paint the room blue just yet.
Yeah.
So quiet because we all know what's coming.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
don't quite know how to feel right now. Well, his kid would be like an
numb.
adult right now. That his kid can legally drink now.
Oh, for sure.
I think. Yeah, that is mental. Oh. Yeah, I'm not in the mood. No.
Yes, it's not what you think it is, though.
Robin Christensen, they screwed up. Like I said before, they should have, as soon as they saw that drone gone back through the gate, no one would have died. I mean, they could close the gate and bury it. No one would have died either.
Yeah,
That's
it's
that's
that
the thing.
Pandora's
It's
box
really
argument.
easy to, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
This is fantastic.
I always thought it was a real story.
Same.
Things like this did happen, though. I'm
Yes.
trying to think of one, because I'd heard of something like this before this.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't think there's anything really wrong with capturing these kind of moments as long as it's done with like sincerity and you're not taking advantage,
Well, journalists, they're there to preserve history,
truth.
which is the
History,
truth.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that we remember these things and
We learn
hope
from them.
to learn from them.
Yeah.
Civil War, the recent movie that just came out, is
I loved it.
all about that.
I
And
absolutely
the journalists
loved it
are
because
very
yeah.
importantly. It's very important that they're there to capture the events so that
100%.
people.
David,
Yeah.
I was just going to bring it up. I'm so glad you did. Yes, Civil War. If you guys haven't seen it, it's just it's fantastic.
Documentary teams, photographers, journalists have been embedded in our military and militaries across the world for a very long time.
Yes. Yeah.
Great beat. Yeah. It's all about how you think about what happened. You can't change what happened, but how you perceive it and the lasting effects of it change everything. And Michael, this is great.
Yeah. If anything as well, Daniel being a historian, and like he looks back through all these parts of history, and if it wasn't for people like Saul's character, then he wouldn't have all this fantastic history to look at. Somebody somewhere decided to write something down about what was going on, and boom, you have some information.
Yeah. I guess the way that my brain is like looking at this scene is, I read that comment from Reddit before about how someone believed that he was like working an angle the whole time, and he was completely insincere and just, doing what he needed to do to get the footage that he wanted. And then you think, did he know that? Did he make up the story about Martin Kristofsky just to make sure that he was able to
No.
I
obtain
don't think
that
he
footage
would.
from?
No,
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 I know he
no.
didn't. But like you can see how people could
Yeah.
like manipulate that,
Yeah.
that narrative.
Yeah.
For sure. One of the notepads that Robert Picardo was using, I think it was in season 5 when he meets with Todd for an alliance.
Oh, like he's got like
Oh,
a
it's
work
so sweet.
notepad.
So
I
and
love
he had
that.
actually written out like notes about the meeting the Wraith, and it was like really funny to sit there and read it. We sold it at PropWorks, but he spent a lot of time writing pen to paper in notebooks.
Oh, Robert did.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
on
so
the screen.
cool.
Yep. This is a huge point.
It is.
He's not wrong on this.
And I think Saul mentioned in your interview that Don S got very emotional during filming because he was actually a captain in the military
Yep.
and he served. So this episode really hit home for him, and I think you can see that in his performance.
Mm.
I've been trying to determine just how many people were sent to rescue Simon to determine to the $27 million figure.
But every time they open up the gate, how much is that as well?
Anything can happen.
Steady.
Yeah, well, from
Yeah.
a
There was
power
4
perspective, yeah.
I think there was 3 or 4 teams that they sent and
Yeah.
a medical team. So it's a lot of folk.
Probably 1.4 or somewhere around million to train each of the personnel. And not just the training, but their supplies and everything else. I wouldn't be surprised, and it makes sense.
Lockwatch said, "Oh my god, middle of emotional episode, get a text from my wife saying, is pizza okay for dinner?" Lol. It's like, yeah, stop interrupting me. I'm busy.
Pizza's fine, whatever. Just
Yeah,
get
pizza's
home.
fine.
Yeah.
Chop, chop.
Pizza and
Not
ice cream
everyone
and
could have
cake.
pulled off that line, cold, dark
No.
place for the rest of time, but he does.
No.
He does, yeah.
I love Don almost looks like he's like getting a bit emotional
Yep.
a little bit. Like,
He does. He really does. Even this interaction, he just.
Oh yeah,
he's
this
so
is
heated.
like this is just elevated. It's
Yeah.
like toss him out on his ass.
He's got a real fire up his ass right now. He's like ready. He's like, oh, to take everyone. I'm done.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Snap 2.
It's good.
I'm gonna have to reach out to Mitchell again. I want to get him on.
That would be cool. I really hope that he still has that glorious mustache.
Oh, here we go. Keep packing. I'm a colonel. Oh boy.
Here we go. Come on.
Borrow your wet one. I had a teacher say that to me once. You have some nerve. Yeah.
Good. That means you got the right kind
wow.
of sass.
I was out of line.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I ignored
I've
instructions.
never, ever had anybody say you've got some nerve. I've just had people tell me
Yeah.
shut up. So
Yeah.
No, I
There's a
think
shot
I was
from,
the,
Window
I
of
was the
Opportunity.
opposite. It is,
Yeah.
yes. It's the tablets from Window.
Yeah. So it's just been reversed. So suddenly, I guess the president called and said that it's not. Or did no? So what happens here? Does Hammond change his mind and let him stay
I think Hammond changes his mind.
from this meeting to leverage against what Woolsey is doing?
he's called him a little weasel.
Well, I think he's just thinking about Woolsey, he's thinking about Kinsey, and he's just thinking
Yeah.
that it's probably best that there is a record kept of what goes on.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
especially
can't let
right
his
now.
anger win.
There it is.
Mm,
DV tape. Oh, Daniel's done. Yeah.
Well, he's not going
uh,
to include this. This is the thing. It's so bad. It's such a horrible image that he doesn't even include it in the documentary later.
Are you
But,
sure
I mean,
about
he's-
that? Daniel says he wants him to.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't
he said
know.
he took
Later
it
he
out.
throws it with like, he's so excited to watch whatever's on this tape. It's just
Yeah.
mm,
I hope he doesn't use it because it does feel a bit gratuitous to use it in a documentary like that. But I don't know. I don't know how I'd want this to be immortalized. I don't want this to ever
yeah.
disappear, this tape. But
So David, when you spoke to Terrell on DTG, she remembered with perfect clarity the moment she found out that Janet would die. She said that she was in her kitchen when Robert Cooper called her in January. And when he asked her how she'd feel about Janet being killed off, she simply said,
How do you
not
think I
very
would
good.
feel? Yeah.
But after hearing the storyline, she actually thought it was quite beautiful. And even though the death would be like a sucker punch for fans, she was grateful for 7 years. And I think Peter DeLuise was the one who suggested killing a character fans actually cared about. And he specifically said, don't bring them back like Daniel, make it real and make it count.
Michael's
Yeah.
holding
I believe-
Terrell's hand throughout this scene.
Amazing.
Oh, is he? So Terrell, I think, said that they filmed it out of sequence,
Yeah,
which
she
actually
died
helped
and then
her
she
cope.
came back the next day. Yeah, but to this day,
Exactly.
she's never watched the show.
Oh, I didn't realize she hadn't watched it, but you could tell in her interview with you that she was it still kind of cut quite deep.
Yeah.
And someone on Reddit nailed why Janet's death sort of hit so hard. The way they hint at Jack being killed makes you think they're not going to kill the main character, so this must be a fake out. And then that assumption creates false security. And then the actual reveal is just absolutely devastating.
It's a blow. It's just from the other direction.
You know,
Yeah.
what I really like, I know I'm talking over a Sam Jack moment, but very quickly, I really like the fact that Saul's seen that clip though, because I feel like he can now go and interview the guy that she saved, and he can talk about how wonderful Janet was, and include part of her interview and being like, sadly, we lost her later that day, and then
Yeah.
cut to the people that she saved and what she did.
Yep.
I feel like him
Yeah.
seeing that clip will help him make her impact even greater in the documentary.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
So I assume that the new vest insert that saved Jack
The polymers.
wasn't
Yep.
worn by Janet when she was
Right.
hit.
Well, it didn't help her much. It suggests that she was wearing it, but it was
higher up.
it was not.
Right.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
at a different spot. Yep.
Maybe. So I think what makes Janet's death so heartbreaking is what it means for Cassie. Like, she's literally an
I know.
orphan
I'm
again.
oh,
And the show doesn't
Yeah.
explore this, but like there are fan fiction writers who have grappled with the aftermath. And I've read several beautiful stories where Cassie's life like completely falls apart after losing Janet. And then she eventually finds her way and becomes a medic to honor her adoptive mother's memory.
That's great.
Also, Jack's eyes like kept drifting to Sam's lips when they were communicating, and I think you can see him really wrestling with the urge to cross that line that they've drawn. And when they do embrace, it's definitely not for professional comfort. Like the way he nestles his head into her neck, I think is deeply
Oh, I love it.
personal,
Yep.
and it's intimate in the way that speaks to everything that they can't say out loud.
I love Sam and Jack forever. We've got a couple of new people, I think, or returning people in the chat. So I want to say thank you, Invisible Dimensions, for saying, I love the way you all pass these out. Top notch. Thank you. Yeah, got lots of information. And
Aw.
Evie's great with the research. So we
Yes,
appreciate
welcome
it.
everyone. We had 28 a
Oh,
minute
thank
ago.
you.
So
We had 31 at one point.
wow.
I watched it. And the
Oh, I
Perry
love
S
that.
says, I wonder if they had a memorial for every M and KIA. I'd like to think that, but I
there's
don't
something
know.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this scene yesterday, and I think Daniel's reassurance to Wells here is incredibly meaningful. Like he keeps
He's convinced that he's
rephrasing
responsible
it
for her
wasn't
death.
his fault. But I think having that come from Daniel, who spent years blaming himself for what happened to Share
Yep.
with Amunet,
Very
carries
appropriate.
enormous weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that he's speaking from hard-won wisdom about guilt and forgiveness.
100%.
So I think it was the best person for this to come from.
That never
Oh,
occurred
yeah.
to me. Very, very good.
Honestly, Evie, I've never actually thought about that before. So fantastic. Thank you. Yep. Stargate's better with friends.
Mhm.
Always.
Who overanalyzed the episode.
Hey, look, we need one of us to do that. Otherwise, it's all just going to be very samey, isn't it? So,
And this, oh my God, this scene with Tilk.
my boo, love him so much.
Oh, and I think the gesture from Tilk, like writing the eulogy,
He's
but
such a
giving it to
cutie.
Sam to deliver, like I think it perfectly captures their friendship and his wisdom about what Janet deserved.
He's a man of few
And I
words,
think-
but he's a man of many thoughts.
Exactly. Like he may seem stoic on the surface, but when it comes to his chosen family, I think he shows this remarkable emotional awareness. And I think these moments where he drops his warrior facade and reveals his tender heart are what makes him such a rich character.
Well,
And I love this moment.
I love that she's got to go pick up Cassie as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Let's face it, Chris doesn't get a great deal of spotlight.
No, he doesn't.
But he's kind of their secret weapon. Like when they use him, they use him well.
Oh, when they use him, I get so sad. He drives, the knife's already in. He just twists it in that extra bit, and I'm like, you guys use Teal'c against me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I wonder what he wrote. I wonder how much.
It's a list.
It's just the list of names.
It's the list of names.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I think Sam, she writes the first bit, like the little introduction, and then it's just the list of names.
I love this scene. Oh man, I got the goosebumps.
Well, I was thinking about it again yesterday and overanalyzing. So I think Daniel choosing to sit alone in this darkened infirmary is so symbolically
where
rich.
he died.
Like he's seeking a place of healing to help him heal himself. But the infirmary isn't just where people suffer and die. It's also where they recover and find hope again. So I think it's deeply connected to Janet's memory. Like away from these like bustling corridors, he's found this one space that embodies both loss and healing.
Also, I love the way that you chose the one room that she tried to save him in, and he makes the point.
Yeah, and that one light over the bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't know how long it lasted, and he gives the time frame here in this 3 days without sleep. He deteriorated for 3 days.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I always kind of hoped that he'd get together with Janet.
There's a thread that they deliberately, the two actors put through the show between Michael and Terrell. Yeah.
I've read many a fan fiction where they're a couple.
See, I think he used it, but I think he found a way, and I think
that's the thing. I feel like
right with using footage with Simon and explaining what happened, telling his story, and using an interview with him to frame the mission and what happened as like this is a case study of what it is that they do.
100%. The Perrias just said, finished my annual rewatch of SG1 and SGA last week. Lol, didn't think I'd be watching it again. Welcome back to Stargate. There's never too much Stargate in your life.
You can never rewatch too soon.
So this is Taps. It's played at memorials like this one, and it's played at midnight.
Is it a US memorial song kind of thing?
So we
play it as well.
Do we play it? That's what I'm asking, because I don't know. So.
But yeah, it's played on bases at midnight. So the end of the day. So I always thought it was sundown, but my dad corrected me.
Oh.
Thanks, Dad.
I really wish they had brought in Colleen for this scene.
I know.
And we talked about it briefly when I had her on Gate World years ago. She did not. But she was like, you know what? That would have made sense.
Yeah.
That would have made the episode even more.
Oh, pull on your heartstrings, like bringing in, like bringing in a pet, or an animal at the end of a certain episode at the end when a certain character dies.
Yeah, it wouldn't have just pulled on your heartstrings. It would have cut them right off.
Yeah.
So the Perrias didn't include SGU. So Raj with around, what about SGU? It's funny.
I know this. Yeah, well, there's.
Go watch it.
Yeah, I agree. So this preview was placed on Sci-Fi Channel, and for folks who were had seen the preview, they see Jack standing there, so he's clearly not the one who's dead.
Yeah, that's silly that they included that. Like for people who didn't already know.
The promotional photography for this episode was released before the episode came out, and it included both sides of the end of the ramp. So
Anthony said yes, the UK do use it as well. It's called The Last Post, I think.
Yes, I think we call it The Last Post also.
Cool.
Okay, so we did mention this in the first part, but the narration for the documentary is by Jim Burns, and it's kind of fitting because he himself was actually a Vietnam veteran,
Yep.
and he did 26 episode of Stargate Infinity,
As
and
Gus Bonner.
He actually later reunited with Amanda Tapping on Sanctuary, and he played her character's father, Gregory
Wow.
Magnus, which is cool. And I saw someone on Reddit say that this speech kind of reminds them of the Gettysburg Address.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's a piece of that. 2 hours,
shot.
42 minutes.
Mm,
It's probably 1:42 because a lot of them start at the 1 hour mark.
I love how he's like his opinion of Bregman has just
Evolved.
completely spun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were wrong about their assumptions.
They didn't know him.
No, that's completely fair.
They didn't know what his
Don't
agenda
judge a
was.
book by its cover.
Yeah.
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 judge
Boy, do I
journalists by
have to
their
remind
job.
myself of that all the time.
Yeah. So I think
Shakes his
Hammond's
hand.
admission that he was wrong sort of shows his fundamental honor and integrity as a leader.
Damn
Like
right.
it takes real character to publicly, or not publicly, but privately acknowledge even that you've misjudged someone. And I think
And tell
Hammond does
them,
it
yeah.
without hesitation. Like that's the mark of a true leader, like knowing when to admit that you're wrong.
Logwatch said this is like when Spock died in Star Trek.
Well, very similar, yeah. Except no resurrection with the Genesis device. So there was a cut scene here that took place at Jack's house, where he gets a package, and the package is the video, and on the top of it it says "Watch this,"
and that's why he decides to do it. I love that. Okay.
Oh,
this is so sweet. This makes me melt.
Yeah.
This is a great gift
I
too.
see that gif.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cute.
The Perry
It's
said, I always
such a,
wondered why Jonas Quinn didn't come back for the memorial. Yeah, I would have liked that.
Oh,
It's such a what, Edie?
it's such a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Well, the
think
point is
an
that the baby
alternative,
lives and Janet gets to help this family be together, so.
yeah. So I think in the alternate reality from Ripple Effect, we learn that in the other timeline, Daniel managed to pull Janet away from the staff blast and she survived.
I would hate to be Daniel listening to that in our timeline.
I
To be
know,
like,
I
"Huh,
know.
couldn't have just given
you'd
that
feel
one
so
little pull."
guilty. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So just a couple of little facts. So SG3, who secured the gate and radioed Jack during the battle, they somehow never get mentioned in the aftermath, despite being part of the whole operation. And I was going to say that they did have to trim a bunch of scenes in editing, including Hammond and Bregman's first meeting. And there was apparently a comedic scene where Bregman lobbies the president for Daniel's footage, but they decided to cut that last bit because the comedy would break the tension leading into part 2.
Yeah.
And I think that Saul Rubinek said that the experience was wonderful, and he didn't realize how beloved this episode was until about 6 years later when he was at a Comic-Con for Warehouse 13.
Yeah.
And fans actually approached him with pictures of Bregman and said like how much of a fan favorite this episode was, and he was, completely blown away. And I think he said that what really made it work was actually having Robert C. Cooper, the showrunner, actually on set instead of 3,000 miles away, giving, like feedback on the spot. And I believe that this episode got 4 Leo Award nominations and was up for a Hugo Award.
That was Heroes Part 2, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Evie wrapped it up on time.